Welcome to today's show, where we delve into the topic, the most dangerous student ever taught. Eugene Jamil Mohammad, a passionate educator and lifelong learner from Chicago, lives by the philosophy "Be a Student." With degrees in biology from Morehouse College and advanced studies in biotechnology, he has nearly 6 years of teaching experience across various educational settings. Mr. Muhammad currently serves as an assistant biology instructor at Morehouse College, sharing his knowledge with undergraduate students while pursuing his dream of earning a PhD. Beyond teaching, Mr. Muhammad is a devoted mentor and advocate for youth wellness through his work with Imprana Incorporated. In his spare time, he explores his love for travel, photography, and creating health and wellness content to inspire others. Listeners and viewers, please join me in welcoming our host, Dr. Whitty. Welcome. Welcome. Welcome to Dr. Whitty Today. I'm glad that everybody is tuning in. We have an exciting episode for you today. Welcome, Eugene. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling grateful. I can't complain at all.
All right. I know we had this set up for quite some time, but we're finally here on today. So we're going to be talking about a lot. So those of you that are out there, grab your sandwich, grab your popcorn, grab your soda, whatever it is that you need, so that you can stay glued to the screen, because we have prepared an awesome conversation for you today. So Eugene, is it anything that wasn't mentioned in your awesome bio that you might want to share with the listeners and viewers?
Not to my knowledge, but that was amazing. That was one of the best introductions. It made me feel good. I didn't even know who you were talking about for a second. So
All right. So, well, I'll tell you what, just a little bit about what you're doing, excuse me, right now before we get into the conversation. Just give us a little snippet of who you are and what you're doing right now.
So I grew up in Chicago, but I'm currently at my alma mater serving as assistant biology instructor. And here I am currently working on my PhD graduate studies, but at the same time, occasionally traveling back and forth to facilitate youth programs back in the Midwest. So I'm still traveling, still pursuing all these ventures that fulfill the creative sides and the academic pieces that keep us whole as human beings.
All right. I know something about that PhD journey. So make sure that you surround yourself with people who inspire you to go forward, your support system, so that when you, excuse me, reach those tough times, you got the right people behind you that are circling you and pushing you forward, and not trying to discourage you from moving forward to that PhD. It's an awesome experience. And if you need any help in any kind of way, if you don't have anybody already, you can feel free to reach out to me for any insight or mentorship as well. I do mentor other PhD students. We have a Sunday call every Sunday at 4 p.m. That lasts for about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. But we have students from all over who chime in and they ask questions, and we try to help guide them in their dissertation process. So just a little bit of information for you. So we'll go ahead and get started. What inspired your philosophy of be a student, and how has it shaped your personal and professional journey?
I guess a good starting point when it comes to being a student, I will have to start at my youth. I grew up in a household filled with educators. My aunts, uncles, everyone, they were educators. We would always have these very intimate conversations during family gatherings. And we didn't just sit around and talk about sports. They were really deep and philosophical questions that really challenged your thinking about It could be current topics. They could be topics about religion or the way that we approach life in general. And what that taught me is, even as adults, I understand that those people that inspire me are still learning, they're still sharpening their thinking and surrounding themselves with the people that want to do the same thing. And when it comes to being a student, what that would require for us is to have lots of experience being uncomfortable and facing the opponent that is within us that resists the things that we want to pursue.
All right. Thank you for that. Now, can you share a memorable moment during your time at Chicago Public Schools or even at Morehouse that profoundly impacted your education, your educational background?
Absolutely. I had a very volatile educational experience. From my K-8 experience, I did exceptionally well. And I think part of the reason is because my mother was in proximity, and I could reach out to her anytime. So she was there. When I went off to high school, I was tested in terms of my reliability as a student, and I didn't show up for myself the way that I needed to. And I had an instructor my freshman year. His name is William Collins. He's still in Chicago, and he to this day is one of my main mentors. And he didn't give up on me as a student. He saw a lot of potential in me. And around my junior to senior year, one of my counselors looked at my transcripts and she said, what was going on between your sophomore and junior year? Like, what happened? I was like, I can't give myself the credit. It was because Mr. Collins didn't give up on me. And he was everything I needed an instructor to be. He was there to talk about personal issues, academic, taught me some study skills. He exposed us to different places. Like he was a leader in the ag finance pathway at my high school. He took us to the stock exchange and showed us what they do on the floor. And it was all these different experiences, had us doing entrepreneurial ventures our freshman. So his influence, in a way, indirectly required me to do better, because when I was in his presence, I didn't want to slack off and go against what I knew I should do. And that experience for 4 years absolutely transformed the way I approach education, because I went off and got into a couple of honor societies and things like that post high school. But my Chicago public schools produces, I think, some of the best educators in the nation. And Mr. William Collins is certainly one of the greatest. Absolutely.
As you were talking, I was just thinking how important it is to have the right people behind you, even in your early years, and elementary school, middle school, high school, and even as you said, post high school. I was thinking about, excuse me, a time when I was in high school where I was in a class. I was in geometry class, and it's laughable to me sometimes, but I had a teacher who, she was the geometry teacher. And for the life of me, I could not, grasp anything from this teacher. And, it got to a point where I guess I had became like maybe, a menace in the class or something. So I used to always have to get people to help me with that particular schoolwork. And I said to one person, I won't say the teacher's name, but I said to one person, I said, I can't learn from that person because they're not a teacher. And so the person said, well, what do you mean they're not a teacher? I said, well, some people can only teach you if you already have some idea of what you're doing. But if you absolutely are clueless, they have no idea how to get you to understand the concepts that they're trying to teach you. And so this person didn't understand it until fast forward. When I was in the military, I was taking a test. We call it the ASFAB or whatever, and where you get your GT score. And so every time I would go to class, I had this teacher, her name was Miss Espinoza was her name. I'll mention her name. And she was very positive. I was always struggling with a lot of the math. And every time we would have a timed quiz or some sort of work that, we had to turn in, I would always be the last person to finish or not finish, or still be confused about everything that's going on. And so she didn't, talk down to me. She didn't fuss or none of that. She would see where my level of understanding was, and she would encourage me. And then, make a long story short, like you, I had the experience that when I took that ASVAB test, I was, even though I was always the last person in the room, I was the second highest scorer in the room, and I scored a 121. And that's a pretty high score. And so she said to me, she was like, well, I expected you to do well, but even I didn't know that you were going to do that well. And so I just wanted to say that because it's really important to have the right people around you, when you are learning or when you're going through, your trials and tribulations, whatever. So I thought that's what I thought of as you were telling your story about the people that were around you, the guy that you mentioned as a mentor. So I appreciated her for that. And I believe it was through that started my educational journey, that gave me the confidence to go ahead and, accept those challenges, even when, I would look at work and be clueless of what I was doing. So that's great. How do you think continuous learning benefits students and educators alike?
First of all, I love that question. The continuous, I love it because it goes beyond what we're required to do, which is one of the hallmarks of a good student. So beyond the educational journey, can you take the skills that you use to learn whatever you learned and then apply them to whatever your craft is? It could be your business, it could be toward mentoring youth. The same problem solving skills that we used in our educational training, you still continue on for the rest of your life. Well, this is what I think you should continue on for the rest of your life, and use and apply those same skills. Now, when it comes to going beyond your training or beyond where you currently are right now, beyond what's required, um, what comes out of it is continual sharpening of your skills. For example, if I'm a beast when it comes to philosophy, what good would it be if I only went hard in undergrad and then when I left out, I stopped challenging the status quo, and I stopped, engaging in discourse that would lead me to have better thinking. So I think the essence of you going beyond what you already know and what you already are familiar with allows you to welcome discomfort, which would then require you to um, accept what it is that you need to work on. To a degree, it shows you the points where you need to be strengthened. So a lot of my students don't like math, or at least they don't think they like math, but they like solving other types of problems, which requires mathematical thinking. So framing it and delivering it in different types of ways will allow them to say, hey, maybe I am doing some mathematics. Maybe I don't see these symbols, but I'm still using a list of tools or a reservoir of tools in order to solve a problem. If I have a financial problem, relationship problem, school problem, if I have a toolbox and I can use those tools, I'm using some sort of mathematics. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said about your students thinking that they don't like math because I excuse me, I relate that to myself. I will tell people in a minute, I don't like math, but the reality is when I understand math and I can solve the equations or problems or whatever, and I accept that challenge and I get it right, I'm motivated to want to know more and how to go further and further. So I would agree. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that it's a challenge for me. Excuse me. But once I understand it, I can take it and I say, oh, okay. So that's how that works. But if we just stop at the challenge and say, I can't do it or it's too hard, then that's where, people start to say things like, I don't like math or I can't do it. So I can relate to that as well. All right, so let's move on to your teaching experience. Now, am I right that you have 6, or is it over 6? Maybe it's even more years of teaching experience.
Well, prior to becoming an official educator, I did sub for a year. I'm not sure if that counts.
It counts. You sub or not, you were still doing the job, right?
Yeah.
That's experience. Because if you put it on if you can put it on your resume as experience, right? That's experience.
Well, I'm currently in my 7th year directly in a classroom. 6th as an official instructor consistently. I started as a on-call sub / long-term sub for a point. And yes, I'm currently in my 7th year.
Okay. So what's the most rewarding aspect of educating students so far in various settings, whether it's school or if you went somewhere else and did some work that was outside of school? What's been the most rewarding aspect?
The most rewarding aspect will be challenging students to grow beyond what they've been told they are and actually see them willing to accept and pursue growth. For example, if I tell little Johnny he's a bad kid and I treat him like a bad kid, he's probably going to respond how I think a bad kid would respond. But if I just call him something different, if I say, hey, little Johnny, you're a leader. Now, you have so much charisma, class clown, whatever you want to be. You have so much charisma. All the students are following after you and they're doing everything you say. Do you think that's leadership? Yes, because it is. That's absolutely an exemplary example of leadership. So now let's redirect where that leadership could be. So you could lead them in sports, you could lead them in small group, whatever we got going on. But it takes a shift in the framing, or they call it the your paradigm. It takes a whole paradigm shift in order to help them understand who you can be. And it's really who they are. You just have to bring it out of them. It's an extraction of talents in a way. So I'm in the term when it comes to fulfillment, I've done that a lot within middle school for the most part, because I think they're the most impressionable. So those young men, you approach them different, treat them with respect, and they return it. And you go from bad kid to leader. I think that's, if I had a hand in that, that's absolutely fulfilling for me, and I have. So that, and seeing them understand that you are really learning a lot more, especially when you're in that struggle mode. You're learning a lot more than you realize. And then you wait some time and then see it again. It's kind of like you broke the ice and you get a little bit more familiar. But seeing growth from youth in a positive direction is probably the most fulfilling for me.
Yes. As my time, excuse me, as an adjunct, that was probably the most rewarding aspect of being an adjunct, was seeing that light bulb come on, that aha, I got it. So I certainly understand that because a lot of people, one of the things I used to do is people would come in the class and I would, give them my spiel and I'd say, the great thing is right now, everybody in here has an A. And that would be what I would tell them. I said, right now, everybody has an A. And I said, now what you end up with at the end, you worked for it, right? So it's like I would try to start off with a little excuse me, positivity, and just not accept, I guess I would say, excuses, because some people have them. I would listen to them, and if they had some merit, I would acknowledge it, but I wouldn't let people settle there, because like you, I wanted to see that that growth, and I wanted them to know that they could experience the growth and actually, understand the work and actually obtain the grade that they think that they cannot obtain. So yeah, the big aha moment, that's definitely um, a big thing. So are there specific strategies you use to make complex concepts accessible to students of different ages and backgrounds?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter how old the youth or however old the student is. 9 times out of 10, I've seen some anime, cartoon, TV show. I've seen something that they've also seen that I can connect the lessons back to. As recent as today, this morning, I was trying to explain some biotech examples. We were talking about how certain sequences of DNA can be probed for, and we can find those sequences of DNA. I tried to use the CSI example. I tried to use the nerdy biotech sci-fi example. A lot of them didn't have that click, that light up, until I brought up paternity test. So I say we can probe for a DNA sequence to determine if a potential father matches that child, their DNA sequence. They didn't understand it. So I had to continue to try different examples and different applications, something that is familiar to them, because when it's not familiar, it seems far away. So now we're bridging the gap when you can link it to something that it doesn't take too much explaining. They really get it. You just didn't know that you get it. So how do they determine the DNA sequence? How do we determine if it's the father or not, right? So I use that example from drama TV, so that they can really understand that concept. And the things that they learn really aren't too far away from what they already know. You just have to take a different perspective. So yes.
All right, thank you for that. All right, so let's go to the work that you do in the community. So tell us about your role with Imprana and how mentorship impacts the youth that you work with.
So I am currently serving as a board member for Imprana, and the work I do is, of course, is directly with youth, and we're currently working on a mentoring program again in the first school that I taught. And what that looks like is taking different aspects of life that we think should be kind of like a luxury, and treating them as the normal. So, for example, our physical fitness is absolutely essential to the maintenance of our health. We should be healthy most of the time, but sometimes we wait until it's too late. So we incorporate that into the curriculum, the mentorship curriculum, to help them understand type 2 diabetes, living with that is not supposed to be your normal. You're a high risk for congestive heart failure, high blood pressure, all of those chronic diseases. Those are not going to be norms for us. Also, we deal with the behavioral aspect and emotional management, because we have um, a, a big need for violence prevention, and a lot of that can come from the youth. So we incorporate that into the curriculum as well. Journaling, so that they can understand themselves and how they feel, processing, sometimes even sharing. And what that does is create a sense of community. So it sounds good to talk about it, but when you're actually involved in doing the boots on the ground work with the youth, and they see you and they see that you show up and you're there for them, you're listening to them, that has much more of an impact. And that's the work that we are continuing to do. And also, I take some of my creative pursuits and apply that into the classroom. It can be through STEM-based activities, and they see me walking around with the camera, and sometimes they want to use it as well, and they think they're a photographer now. And I'm like, yes, you are. You whoever you want to be. So it's an opportunity to engage and mold them in various ways. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one interview I saw you on, and you were talking about how you were, I guess you had like a certain diet or whatever, and you were talking to your students about it, and they weren't all that enthused about it. And then you found out later that some of them, I guess some of them had been coming to you saying, look, I didn't eat this for lunch. I actually did what you said, stuff like that. And so for you, how did that feel to have them come back and basically tell you what they was doing? How did it feel knowing that even if you may have thought that they wasn't listening, but they came back and told you and showed you that they in fact did hear you? So how did that feel for you?
Just being completely transparent, it warmed my heart because I'm talking in a way. Well, I try my best not to sound preachy because I want to be relatable. But I have to tell them the truth about what they eat. And so when we left the class, I didn't feel as though they were digging anything I said. And so I'm like, okay, well, I got to tell them the truth. So it took that one student, and then it was a chain reaction effect. Yeah, I've also done this, or I've tried that. But seeing them making better dietary choices, or at least hearing them, some of them did take a plate or a selfie with their plate and showed me, and that was awesome because now you're more health conscious, and it in a way confirmed the value of what was said in class. So we took it from in theory or abstract, and we applied what we said. So it warmed my heart. I didn't know what to say. I said, gentlemen, I am proud of you. And that's all I could say.
All right. Yeah. Years ago, when I would talk to what what I refer to as the younger generation, and excuse me, in the military, I would always talk to people about how important it was to get their education. And I'd get all kinds of looks, stares, all type of reasons why a person couldn't do it, all sorts of excuses about I don't have time, or I can't do schoolwork online, whatever. But I would talk to various different soldiers about it. And sometimes you just don't know that people are listening. And so, but what happened to me, I want to say it was at least 10 years after I was out of the military, that I got a message in one of my inboxes. And it was actually from one of the guys that I talked to. And he reached out to me just to show me that he had gotten his degree. And, and in his message, he said, I know you thought I wasn't listening all those times you were talking to me, but I was. And so that was awesome because, you want to know that you had an impact on somebody somehow. And so when people come back, that's the greatest reward, is when you see somebody, as you said, they experience a paradigm shift. They change their behavior, they change their thinking. And so that's always the greatest. That's more important than anything they could ever give you, or anybody could ever give you, is to see that something that you said or something that you showed them impacted their life in a positive way. So kudos to you for that. Excuse me. What drives your dedication to wellness initiatives, and how do you integrate them into your professional and personal life?
That question is deeply personal. And I'll say this because going back to high school, my sophomore year, I got food poisoning, eating some food that I wasn't. I think I was either a freshman or a sophomore. All I know is I didn't grow up eating food like gyros, So there's this restaurant in Chicago called Nikki's. When I tell you that was one of the best foods I've ever had, because I didn't grow up eating it, so I didn't know what I was missing. So every time I would come from AAU basketball practice, I would go to Nikki's, come home, eat, wake up, do the same thing. And one day I got sick, and I think something was wrong with the food. And I got really sick, and I really felt like I could die. I felt like there was a knife in my stomach for like a week straight, and I was just on the couch suffering for an entire week. And I told myself, I'm like, I don't want to experience this again. And what I found is making better dietary choices, just eating better, helped me to actually feel better. You feel really good eating foods that you're supposed to eat, plant-based foods, and drinking your water, getting rest. So I felt a lot better. And also I learned about the science behind improving your health and how you can decrease your risk for early death, all these things that plague us. And it definitely started when I was suffering on the couch. I didn't want to experience that ever again. I wanted to be far away from that experience as far as I can. So that was a good little motivator and a good wake-up call, because I'm glad I woke up, because I didn't feel like I was about to. So incorporating that experience, and then my mother had a friend that he passed. My brother and I were getting ready for work, and all I hear is her calling name, because he was having a heart attack and he died that morning. But it taught me he didn't make the best dietary or lifestyle choices in terms of his health. But also that was another wake-up call, because at that time my blood pressure was high, and I'm like, I need to get my life together. So it's these different personal experiences that I'm continually having. And I know that youth do what they see and what they hear, but they mostly do what they see. And if they see me making better choices, I'm hoping that they would be inspired to do the same.
Yes. Better food choices is definitely something that we all have to do. I had to do that, and I still have to do that. But I'm bringing it up because years ago, I want to say I was up to about 215 pounds, I think it was. And I had noticed that I couldn't run like probably 50 meters down the street without, being huffing and puffing. And then one day I took a look at this. Somebody had taken a photo of me in my, well, I was partly dressed because I had my shirt off, but I had shorts on it and stuff. So I had seen this photograph and I thought, wow. I said, is that me? And it was me. And I had looked at it, and at that point I was like, man, I got to do something, because I was eating a lot of junk food. I love McDonald's, pizza, all of that stuff. And so what I did was I went on a meal plan where I, and everybody may not, excuse me, be able to do that, but I did it because it was convenient for me. And so I went on it for about 6 months, and I took pictures every weekend so that I could document the progress. And I got down to about, I want to say it was like 174 or 175, something like that. And it was amazing how I felt. Had more energy. I had more clarity and thought. One thing that I had to get used to, though, was the fact that I didn't want to sleep all the time. I almost felt like it was something wrong with me, because I would lay down and go to sleep, but I didn't need an alarm clock. I popped right back up, and I would work out like clockwork. Sometimes I work out 2 or 3 times a day, and I was in the best shape of my life. So I can relate to what you're saying. And all of that was because I changed my diet and I exercised. Like, only day that I took a break from exercise was literally on a Sunday. And I was in the best shape of my life. I even, for years, I had told myself in the military that I was going to get the high PT score, 290 or above. And I was going to get, at the time, I was going to, when people would score high, they would have their photographs taken and you would be placed on the board and everybody could see it and all of that. And it was just my goal to get a 290 or above. And I actually did it. And it's all because of me changing my diet and doing the exercise. And through that, there were several other soldiers who were big. And when they saw me, they started to come out with me and they would work out with me. And the one thing that I really enjoyed was on the days that I didn't feel like working out, they would call me, like it would be like 5 a.m. If they didn't see me at the gym or coming to the gym, they would call me and I answer the phone and they'd be like, get in here, or they would say something to me. And so I can definitely relate to that. We do have to make better choices. Because like you said, the normal stuff that people say, oh, well, this runs in my family, this runs in my family, oh, my mother had this, my dad. Well, it doesn't mean we have to have it, but we will if we don't change our eating habits. So thank you for that. Well, I think this is going to be a great place for us to take a commercial break. Those of you that are out there listening and viewing, if you have a question or comment for myself or Mr. Mohammad, we're going to drop a link and we want to ask you to click on that link so we can bring you up on stage and entertain your question or your comment. So we just ask that you please be brief so that we can comment or answer your question. Don't be shy. If you're out there and you see the link in the chat, please click, come up on stage, tell us what this show has contributed to your life. Make a comment or question so that we can know how we're impacting our listeners and viewers. So we're going to go to a commercial break real quick. Don't go anywhere because we will be right back on DrWhitty Today. Life is a beautiful, complex journey, but amidst the hustle and grind, how often do we stop and ask, are you okay? Introducing Are You Okay? A mental health and well-being check-in and conversation, the groundbreaking book by Dwayne Wiggins Jr. With a sincere heart, Dwayne takes you on a journey that reminds us all mental health matters. This powerful guide encourages open dialogue about mental well-being, showing how vulnerability fosters healing, connection, and understanding. It's a call to reflect, reach out, and break the stigma around mental health. Together, we can build a community rooted in empathy, support, and understanding. Start your journey today. Pick up Are You Okay? And spark meaningful conversations that truly matter. Because when we check in on each other, we grow stronger together. Dr. Candicia Randolph's book, The Black American Church, Leadership Dispensation and Challenges, critically examines leadership within the Black church, drawing from historical and anthropological perspectives. It identifies challenges faced by this vital institution in the Black American community and proposes practical solutions. The church's impact on Black culture and leadership is explored, emphasizing its historical context and influence over nearly 5 centuries. Through research and data, the manuscript aims to enhance the church's effectiveness and cultural relevance. Get your copy where books are sold today. Unlock a happier, more fulfilling life with planned maturity for teens. Are your teens struggling with low self-esteem, feeling lost, or seeking practical advice to navigate their teenage years? Then look no further. Planned Maturity for Teens is more than just another self-help book. It's a comprehensive roadmap to a brighter future. This book offers insightful guidance and tools teenagers need to develop a positive mindset. Its practical advice and clear strategies helps teenagers build self-confidence and overcome adolescent challenges. The author draws on years of experience working with young people to provide real-life lessons and relatable and actionable advice. From reading this book, your teen will gain a healthier self-image and techniques to cultivate and maintain self-esteem. They'll receive guidance on discovering and aligning with their values, and also envision a pathway to success, a clear and concise roadmap to personal growth and fulfillment. The author Marquise Trent brings his extensive experience to the table, offering teens the support they need to thrive. Planned Maturity for Teens is the ultimate guide to helping your teen build a happier, more confident, and successful life. Get your copy today and help your teen embark on a journey to planned maturity. All right, welcome back. Please avail yourself to those resources if you believe that they would benefit you or someone you love. So, all right. I'm grateful for the reminder that the interactions that we have with our students have a lasting impact, for better or for worse. Thank you, Angela Bridges, for your comment. Because yes, everything that we do, everything that our students, our learners see, we are the ones that are out front, right? So it's it may not always be easy, but we have to keep in mind that those folks are learning from us. And like I always say, people learn one or two things. They learn the best thing or they learn the worst thing. And we want them to learn the best thing from us as their example. So again, if anybody's out there, you have a comment, please click on the link. We'll pull you up for a brief comment or question. But until then, Mr. Eugene Mohammad, what made you pursue your doctorate degree and how do you plan to use it once you graduate?
Well, I have to give a big shout out to what I think is a luxury. My father, he obtained his doctorate degree in theology, and he's always been, he's always set the bar high for us. And I absolutely desire the challenge. And I know that it's going to help sharpen my scientific thinking and my approach to learning. And in a way, you become an expert in whatever you study. And I know that that's going to help not only myself, but it also helps my students as well, because I'm never leaving education in any capacity. So in some capacity, I'm involved academically, educationally, some way. So I know that it's required for me to take what I do to the next level, and then increasing the impact that I would have on you, and helping people improve their situations and, just their mindset, especially when I was just little Jamil running around the playground. And then you see, now we've obtained a terminal degree and we're doing good work and allowing youth to be welcomed in, and really, you're marinating in greatness. So I'm not just with myself. I'm, like you said, I'm surrounded by literal, in my mind, these are mental giants that I'm surrounded by. And I want to be just like them. So all of my so-called colleagues, these are really my instructors a few years ago, I'm surrounded by them and they just blow my mind on a daily basis. I want to be just like them. And I want to have that same impact on whoever I'm teaching as well.
All right. And you will. Somebody, Donald Watts asked, what is your doctorate again? I missed it. What are you going for?
Oh, it's for a PhD in biology.
PhD in biology.
I'm not sure if that
Love,
question may have been for you.
well, I hope not. Mr. Watts is a frequent viewer and my friend, so he knows. Well, I don't want to put him out like that. I'll just say hopefully he knows. But if it's meant for me, I'll mention mine in a second. So we have two people backstage. Please don't go anywhere if you can hear me. Please stay where you are. Once I see you on the camera, I will pull you up on stage and you can comment or ask your questions. So please come on camera so that we can see who you are. I'm going to start with you, Yasmin, I think it is.
Isn't it?
Okay. All right. Are you
Okay, give
able
me
to
one
come on
second.
camera?
Hold on. I'll come on camera. Jesus. Okay. Hello. I
There
just
you
came
go.
from the gym.
All right. That's all right. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are great. So how are you feeling? What do you have a question or you have a general comment about today's show? What you got for us?
Well, I am Jamil's younger sister. I don't know if you could tell by the name. And I look just like him. And he's like my trainer. And so I really appreciate this discussion. And I want him to talk more about the mental impact that can happen when you're trying to improve your eating, incorporate more, daily exercise. Like, what are some possible mental issues that could come up for people, and how would you advise them to kind of like deal with it, you know?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Eugene?
You can certainly have a good dose of body dysmorphia day to day. You could be, I look good. And then the next day could be the complete opposite. So that's absolutely part of the journey. One, when it comes to self-love, it's really accepting who you are. And sometimes the mirror lies. I'm just throw that out there real quick. Sometimes the mirror's lying like, man, I'm
Mhm.
maybe I don't look like that. But that's certainly a part of it. And when it comes to self-love, I think one of the best approaches that you could do is whoever that you are right now, even though it's going to change, you can love that person. And then you can love them as you say goodbye to that former person because you're becoming a new person, right? Or really, you're sharpening who you already are. So, absolutely love
Mhm.
yourself. That the mental struggle is going to be a part of the journey. The way that you view yourself, sometimes we compare ourselves to others as well. As humans, we have to admit that we do that sometimes, and it's not about them. It's about what you have going on. It's about your goals. Am I going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Probably not. I'm going to look like the best version of myself, though. And that's what you have to really accept and love. You are going to be the best version of yourself because you're continually working on it. Yes.
Great. That's that's what I'd
Thank you.
add to that too as well, because when I was in the gym, it's real tempting to watch other people and see where they are and feel like you've got to impress somebody or maybe even feel shame because you're not where they are. And I can remember this one incident where I would go to the gym and there was this one lady in there. She was faithfully in there every single day. And this lady, the truth is this lady was a bit heavy, so it took a lot of courage for her to come to the gym every day and be around a lot of the people that were in there. And so some people would look at her, you would hear snickers, stuff like that. But I made it my business that when I would see her in there, I would smile, go up to her and encourage her to keep going. And those are things that you have to do, that also helps you encourage. I mean, it helps encourage you to keep going. You can encourage other people that you see at the gym every day or that's working out and take your mind off of yourself, because sometimes you can focus so much on yourself and then you'll be down. So you focus on somebody else that you may see that might be having a struggle, and you go encourage them, help them, and then it helps boost your esteem as well. And you just keep on going. It's like Eugene said, maybe one day you might feel this way, the next day you might feel that way. But the key thing is just to keep on going, because ultimately you will reach your goal, and the person that you want to see is in there. You're just working to get to that point. All right.
Thank you for the insight.
All
I
right.
really
So,
appreciate you both.
all right. Thank you, Yasmin. Don't let this be your last time. All right. All right. We're gonna
Okay.
bring up Jeremy Hall. Jeremy, can you come up on camera? Is he there, Jeremy? Jeremy Hall, are you there?
Hey, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
All right, your second's up. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm turning my camera on now. Let me see if you guys can see me in my dorm still.
All right,
Can you
there
guys
you
see me?
are. We can see you.
How you guys
How
doing
are you?
today?
We're great.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
do you have
But I just had a comment. I was just saying, I've been listening to
In conversation, I was just gonna say it's been great. Taking away a lot of knowledge, and it's been exciting. Just taking in information. So yeah, that's also I was gonna say. I didn't have a question. I was just gonna say it's been a great time just listening. I think it's good when we have times, as this, where we as Black men stay in that kinds of mindset of, continuously learning, finding new information, talking about things uh, that are, important to us, but more so important to the community, so that everybody is always learning and active.
All right, so Jeremy, where are you from?
I'm from Chicago, South Side.
Okay.
I'm
All
from the
right.
South Side. I actually know Dr. Muhammad. Dr.
Okay.
Muhammad. He was my mentor since, when was that? That was 2018, 2017, 2018. Yeah. He's been a great person, great teacher. Always when he's actually gave me my first book on Malcolm X. And I think that was a book I started reading. And after I read that, I was like, yeah, I love reading, because I used to didn't like reading. But it was kind of more so that I wasn't exposed to reading. Like, were just, I didn't. I think it just goes to show about, exposed individuals to things they need to be exposed to, that they can change their minds.
I think you were breaking up there, but I heard you say something about just being more exposed to reading, if I heard you correctly. And that's important because many years, I tell people the story of years ago when I had a job, and I used to work a lot at night. And so I would get these chain emails. And one time I saw an email, and the subject line was "Blacks don't read." Now, that stuck out to me. Said blacks don't read. So I wanted to know more. And then when I clicked on it, I opened it up, and it said that if you ever wanted to hide anything from a Black person, just put it in a book. So I don't know who sent it, but I thought that made me think. And from seeing that one email, I said, wow. And then I started to get books, and I realized that it was at least for me, when I started reading, it was rather difficult because I had not been in the practice. And I used to have to look up, like, sometimes I could read a sentence and I'd have to look up all these words. So it took me a long time to be able to read a book because I would have to look up every other word. But once I got into the practice of reading, I noticed that a lot of the words that I was looking up were used in a lot of other books. So I no longer had to look them up. I could keep on reading. And so I can certainly relate to what he said about not being in the practice of reading. And that's one of the things that I tried to get, especially Black boys, teenagers, men, put down the games, put down the videos, put down the phone, because, you know, if you can't read a book, eventually you're gonna hit, you know, brick wall, because you can't read, you can't write. The only thing you can do is stream videos all day, or all you can do. And this is why we have grown men. Now, don't get me wrong, because I know some will be mad. Oh, I play a game and I can read. But the bottom line is we have a lot of grown men that spend hours on a video game, but can't spend 10 minutes reading a book or learning something. And so that has to change for us. So what do you say to that?
Well, first of all, you just had two amazing guests, by the way. Yasmin, she's a little modest, but she's absolutely amazing. And brother Jeremy Hall is he's at Morehouse as well. He's a beast. That man is he's a young mogul. And I'm just sitting back and watching the type of people that they're going to become. And I get to brag on, like, I know these people personally. I get to brag about it. So I'm just like, yeah. But you got to do the hard thing, which is, I'll share something that
we got you, Miss AKA. We're gonna come to you in just a second.
That's another fellow educator and part of my bloodline as well. I do want to answer that question as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
So experiencing the proverbial failure to launch, what are some tools to maintain mental fortitude? So for young people, what they need is a very iterative process. Sometimes we get caught up in the big picture and the big project. For example, the TikTok, this explosion of TikTok. So what this is, it's ingrained in our society, the way that we approach engaging people. You could do the same thing with whatever that it is that they want to do, because TikTok is so short form for the most part. If they can get some sort of like a clear vision, they need a clear vision, and they need to know each little step. It's kind of like project management in a way. But if you can get them to engage in those little things and then show them, hey, this is the big picture, I think that they would have a lot better time. But giving them big projects at a time is not. You gotta same way we do in education. You scaffold what we do on a foundational level and then build upon it. So they have to see themselves start and continue to work on a particular thing, whatever that, it could be their business or whatever it is they have going on. But I ingrain that into the curriculum. So if there are things that you are passionate about, we used to have Genius Hour a few years ago. Every Friday they do what they want and research, but they would make a project out of it, and they have to do some things that they're passionate about and then work at that, whatever it is. But they have to do it at the leisure and in the classroom as well, so that they see that their teachers and instructors actually see that they can see that the instructors care about what they have going on and what their interests are. That's a tough question. I don't know.
Marlon said he's playing his game, but he gets it. Speaking of people that I'm proud of, I met Donald several years ago in the military, and he used to be one of the people that worked out with me like every single day. He can testify as to all the trials and tribulations with being in school. And now he himself has graduated college, and I'll have to ask him, but I believe he's still in college, going for another degree. If I'm wrong, correct me, Donald, but I'm very proud of him. He, I look at him as one of the people that I inspired. So I'm glad that that he saw something and that it encouraged him to go beyond what he thought he was capable of doing. And one of the stories I love to share about him is he was going to tell you how um, you tell a person what they can do, even though in their mind they may think they can't. And I remember he was going out for I forget the specific training, but it was some sort of elite training. And one of the tasks he had to do was climb a rope. And I said, "Oh, no problem. I can show you how to climb a rope." And so, we would go to the gym, and every time I, take him to that rope and demonstrate how to climb that rope, I could see, the intimidation or the fear that he had from going up, really, really high. And then, but I would always encourage him. And so one particular day we went to the gym, and I knew in my mind that this was going to be the day. He was going all the way up to the top, and he was going to come all the way back down. And so we went to the gym that particular day, and he got up there and he just climbed and climbed. And I was like, "You almost at the top. You almost at the top." And I tell you, the look in his eyes, I can still remember to this day that when he got to the top, and he looked down and he had this bright smile like, "I made it, I made it, I made it." And that was just awesome because he had overcome a challenge that he had. Like you said, he had to experience that paradigm shift to know that I can do it. So he got up there, and then he didn't just jump down. He slowly came back down. So um, that's a little story that I have with him. So I'm with you. It's such a reward to know that the people that you spoke to, that you inspire, that they get it and they got it, and that they are, and then they too become inspirers as well, mentors as well, after coming in contact with you. So, what advice would you offer to aspiring educators who want to follow in your footsteps?
Well, first I would say follow. I wish I could pick the steps that they follow because I made a whole a whole lot of unnecessary mistakes. But clarity, which is something that I struggled with for a couple years. I have a lot of different interests. So what do I need to do right now? I've always struggled with that. So I had to sit alone sometimes and even, make a couple calls. But I need clarity on what do I need to do right now? And once that is refined in terms of what do I need to do, get some exposure. So some of my friends like beauty and they like the esthetician work. You can teach that. So we don't even think about ourselves as educators in different capacities, but we are. So you could teach that and you get certified or whatever, you might be able to teach a couple classes. So being clear on what it is that you want to do and then get some exposure teaching others. Because what we find is people get all this fulfillment from sharing what they know with others. And even going back to the question earlier, how do you get them out of that proverbial failure to start? You need community. You need people to intentionally come with you to say, "Hey, this is something that I recognize from you that you care about. I want to see you make it happen." And you sit down with them. Sometimes you just need a second body there, and then they can make it happen. So
Exactly.
that's what it is.
That's one of the things I I key in on whenever I'm talking to doctoral students is make sure you are surrounded by a community that is for you to reach your goal. Because, like I said, once you say, I'm going to achieve this, you're going to experience everything and anything, because it's going to test you to see if what you want to achieve, you really want to achieve it. So I mentor one student right now. I told him, you're going to experience anything and everything. I said, so whenever you feel like you're going to give up, you're going to cave in, you're going to quit, I said, you reach out to me. And this particular student, every time he feels like throwing in the towel, he calls me, and I do not let him off the hook. I mean, he's experienced a lot. He lost his brother, he lost his sister. He even got I don't want to say kicked out of the university, but in a sense, yes, kicked out for something. But he fought it, and he's back in. And just all the trials of just trying to keep your family together, everything. And it's important that you surround yourself with people that are going to support you, that are going to be there. I had, there were sometimes in my program that somebody had to pay for my books that particular time, or because I didn't have the money. Somebody had to pay for an entire class, or had to do something for me so that my mind could remain focused on the goal ahead. And so there'll be many people that don't understand. There'll be people that'll try to talk you out of it. And you have to fortify yourself to make sure that none of those things or none of those people distract you from reaching your goal. All right, so we're almost at the end. Hang on in there with us, everybody that's out there. I've got two more questions for Eugene. And these are personal interests. How does travel and photography influence your perspective as a educator and a lifelong learner?
Well, as I'm naturally introverted. So when I go into new places, I like going there with some sort of tool. That's just like a weird thing I do. So when I'm learning about a particular place that I'm traveling to, that helps me appreciate that place a lot more. And then I get to capture, of course, the memories of whatever my experience was being there. And it's really simple. Like I love capturing where I was so that I can recall learning, because all I do is put that right back into the classroom. So, for example, if last year I taught high school, so I, for the first time, taught environmental science. And this past summer, I went to Colombia, Medellin, and that place is filled with greenery. So all of the concepts we were talking about in class, if I was still there, I could share that with the students. We're talking about sustainability, green spaces. That's normal for the city. And I got to experience all the things that I'm teaching them and telling them, you all can do the same thing. And what that's going to do is help you appreciate what you learn a lot more. Then it's a chain reaction. You got this snowball effect. Now it's more things to learn, more things to explore. And you just create a life of fulfillment. And it's really like there's no clean cut part. Oh, this is my teacher life and this is my personal life. It's all like meshed together in a way. So I just use those things to just improve my experience and fulfill my need to travel on a consistent basis.
Yeah, it's nothing like being able to be somewhere and use what you see and what you learn in your educating process. And it just makes me think of the time that I spent in Germany. A lot of things over there, and this is in reference to the Bible. Like I was able to understand things that were in the Bible because I was over there, and some of the things that the Bible would talk about, you saw over there, and you're like, oh wow. And so I never forget this time I was out in a wooded area, and I saw a guy who I said was a shepherd, because I seen him walking, and it was hundreds of sheep. And I just found it so interesting. So I wandered away from everybody and went into the woods because I wanted to get a peek at all of these sheep. Well, I didn't know that they were going to come into the woods. I was just going in so I could peek out on the other side. But next thing you know, I heard all this noise and all the sheep were coming in. But then there was a sheepdog who saw me, and he ran, like it was two of them, and they ran up to me. And I'm like frightened because they were obviously there to protect the sheep. So they ran up to me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what's getting ready to happen to me? And I saw the shepherd coming, and he was walking really slow. And then there was another guy there. So they walked up to me, and I started talking, but the shepherd himself couldn't understand what I was saying. So everything I was saying had to be interpreted by, the other person that was there. And it was so interesting because I thought, wow, I made it like a correlation between, how we view Jesus Christ and, the Father. So I just think it's really interesting because you can take a lot of things from places that you visit. And like you said, when you incorporate it into your learning, it becomes that much more exciting. And it helps people understand too, when you can put a picture to it, to what you're trying to talk to them about. They get that click in the head, the aha moment. So yeah, that's great. So what role does creating health and wellness content play in your life, and how does it inspire others?
Well, it's consistent with what I value most. So I love nutrition, overall wellness, mental wellness as well. And again, I use photography, videography to create that same content, so that people can see at least a piece of what could be achieved by the pursuit of these healthier habits. So I get a lot of support online. So I'm assuming that, people are cheering for me and rooting for me, but also they get inspired to do, their own type of journey. And so when they share, hey, I have this going on. Or my cousin just told me, she said she lost about 50 pounds since last fall. And I had no idea, but because I put out that post, then she decided to share that with me. And you have all of this, it's like a mini community in a way. So it's just instrumental to what I do with my life and how I live it. And I'm absolutely not perfect. I have a sweet tooth. Do I eat boxes of brownies like I used to when I was younger? Absolutely not. I have a little more control. But what I think we do for the most part is what counts more than, the times we decide to celebrate. So, yeah.
I can definitely relate. I love to eat anything that's, got got sugar in, and it's not good. It's definitely not good now, being a person that's diabetic. So I definitely have to be one of those people to work on what I eat constantly. I have to make sure that as a matter of fact, I'm trying to get back into exercise, because one of the reasons why I wasn't exercising is because I was in school, and I was just like, oh, I got to graduate. I was spending so many hours on my dissertation, and something had to give because I was working out, and I was doing my dissertation. And, not just that, but all the other things that go on in your life. And so the only place I felt like I could shave was the time I spent at the gym. So I shaved that so that I could focus on my work and graduate. But now I need to get back in the habit. And as a matter of fact, I am getting ready to get back into the habit of exercising and just making sure that I do better with my eating habits, because that does make a difference. So I encourage everybody out there, that if you're listening, if you're one of those people, you know, a lot of us has been there. It may not be easy, but surround yourself with community. Just like we were when we were doing the wrong thing, we had no problem with finding those people that were doing it. We had no problem finding community. So now that we want to do the right thing, got to do the same thing. Find the community that's going to push you to succeed, to reach your goal. And you have to make sure that you don't, that you are not, excuse me, not around the people that are trying to pull you back in the opposite direction. So I want to apologize for my voice. I just got over about a bout of COVID, and I'm still having that lingering cough. So I'm hoping that that'll go away, but I'm not going to let that stop me. I'll just put the mic on mute and cough and put it back on. But Eugene, thank you for coming. It's been an awesome conversation. I hope you don't make this the last time that you're on DrWhitty Today. I'm going to be trying to follow you to see what you're up to see what programs you might be doing for the youth, and have you back on to talk about it, and maybe even have some of the youth that you work with and mentor actually come on and talk about how you have impacted their life. So I'm doing some work myself where I'm trying to be an encourager of some youth. I'm trying to think of the term that I wanted to say. It's not coming to my mind right now. At-risk youth. So, you know, I can learn as well, you know, what types of things that I can do, because like you said, we have to be very strategic, and people don't care what we know. They want to know if we care. So the reason why you have been such a great impactor of people is because people can see that you care. And when people know that we actually care, they're willing to learn from us, and they're willing to grow. And we can help them surpass boundaries. So thank you for that. Stop calling us out. That's all right. That's all right. I'm in that number too. So Eugene, any last minute thoughts?
Well, again, I'm absolutely grateful to be here and to share thoughts and experiences. A lot of these questions really have me, you know, have my wheels turning. So I'll be pondering on them even after the call ends. But I mean, I'm absolutely grateful for this opportunity to be here and contribute. Yeah.
All right. And where can our listeners and viewers find you when they're not viewing DrWhitty Today? They want to reach out to you.
They want to reach out. You can reach me on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, at Krishna Fist. That's KRISHNAFIST. I don't know if I can put that in the chat or not, but Krishna Fist. There's another story behind that, but that's how
spell it out again. My producer can put it in the chat.
It's
so people can see it.
It's KRISHNAFIST. It's Krishna Fist.
Let's see if he's listening. Is it there?
Yep. All together.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm giving him a shout out. He's probably
shout out to the producer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for being on the show. Those of you that are out there, we have DrWhitty Today every other Monday. We have awesome shows. We have another show coming up. Today is the 14th, so we have another show coming up on the 28th. And I hope that you guys will reach out to find out what we're talking about on that day. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm going to use my fingers. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, X, and there's probably something I'm forgetting. Instagram. Dr. Whitty. All you have to do is type in Dr. Whitty, DrWhitty. Do not put a period in it, and you shall find Dr. Whitty. And you can listen to some of the pre-recorded videos, our lives, and also what I call Dr. Whitty to go, are just inspirational thoughts and words that are real quick that you can listen to draw inspiration. Thank you for tuning in to Dr. Whitty Today. And we will see you the next time. Thank you, Eugene. Please stand by for a few minutes for the after show. Thank you for joining us on Dr. Whitty Today. We appreciate your time, and your viewership is the heartbeat of our show. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe. Your support keeps us going, and we can't wait to have you back. So hit the notification bell to find out each time we air live. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, stay motivated, and stay tuned.